Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you. How's it going, everybody? We are going to be beginning our very first lesson of a new class. This will be just a get into sculpting class where we just work through a character start to finish together. I think it's one of the best ways to learn, just by following along, and step by step I will guide you along my process. Of course, there's a million ways to do things. All I can do is share my way. During these Sunday classes, I won't have alerts or anything turned on, so that way we can keep the flow moving forward. If you're not already, please join the Discord. That's where you'll find the list of the materials that we use, and also where you can submit your photos and videos for feedback. So you'll need to join the Discord. You'll need to go to the rules section and react to the rules, and then that'll unlock the Discord where you can join the CNAPWish school channel. That's where you'll find everything there. So yeah, sure. So I'm gonna try and stay very on point with just kind of giving the information, and then we'll transition and switch to kind of like a feedback round. I'm not sure there's gonna be a lot of that on the first lesson, because I know you guys will all still be working. Yeah, so that's the thing. Also, check out my Pinterest board. We're gonna all use the same kind of body of reference, and you'll see that every week I will add more reference to it depending on what part of the project we're gonna be working on. So definitely check that out. Reference really is, CNAPWish isn't the teacher, the reference is the teacher, okay? I'm just trying to teach you how to listen to the real teacher, okay? People have been sharing their setups for the class. Good. Okay, so I guess we'll begin. Let's begin. Let's get in here. Now, these videos will be saved on all 3 platforms, so you'll be able to access these classes anytime. And our goal here is to get this project finished in 10 weeks. So we got 10 Sundays, the next 10, to hopefully get it done by. But yeah, we'll try. So. All right, so let's get into just a little bit of talk on kind of tools and materials that we use. I know for a lot of you guys, you already know this, but we never know who's watching. So this is the clay I use. It's called Cosclay. It's the sculpt line and the medium firm. So that's what I use. It's if you're unfamiliar with clays, it's a Polymerclay that is sculptable just like this until you cook it or you heat it up in the oven, and then it hardens, and then you're able to add more layers on top of that, and you can continuously bake it as many times as you need. Now, it's very important to bake it at the right temperature and the right time, which is right here on the box. It tells you. So 275 Fahrenheit, 135 Celsius for at least 30 minutes is what I always say. So, but yeah. So that's the clay. It doesn't leave any sort of soot or residue or anything like that, so it's actually really nice to use just as an at-home crafting person. So now with that, there's a clay glue that's also made by Cosclay. Can you overbake it? It's very hard to overbake a project. It's actually more dangerous to underbake it because it'll be dry and brittle. Because the main thing about this clay, this is why we use Cosclay, not the other polymer clays, is it's flexible. See, this is a baked piece of clay. So we don't have to worry about our creations breaking on us, which is, you know, what's the point of putting time into things if they're just gonna break, right? But it's very difficult to overbake things. I've left things in the oven at the right temperature overnight accidentally, and it's still fine. So the danger is underbaking, not overbaking. So it's better to go a little over than a little under. This is the clay glue. So anytime we're adding, like say this is a baked surface, let's say we're gonna add a hat onto this guy. We would want to put a layer of glue in between the baked surface and the fresh clay. Or when I first attached this piece to this wood, same thing. Anytime you're attaching the fresh material to like something else, then you use this. What if I'm attaching another piece of clay to an already sculptable piece of clay like that, you don't need the glue for that. It's gonna stick to itself. So Sculpey does sell a brand of this. If you can't get a hold of this glue that you can use, it will work. I like this one better, but the other one will still work. And if you can't get any of the glues, you can use Vaseline for the same purposes. It doesn't work as good, but it's going to be better than using nothing. And with Vaseline, you just want to paint it on real thin when you use that. So petroleum jelly, doesn't have to be a certain brand. And then of course we have sculpting tools of all sorts of varying degrees. Now these aren't as important that you have the exact same ones as I have. You don't really need that. You just need to have some tools. You can usually find these little packs of like clay, these wooden clay shapers like this for real cheap, like the variety packs. And this one used to be one of those, and it just got polished and stained over a decade of use. So yeah, that's how this is my favorite, one of my favorite tools. And then you can get like this one is probably my second favorite. This, if you look up wax carving tools or wax sculpting tools, you'll find these little metal ones with different varying ends. Get a set of those. Or this one right here, these ones are nice. These are called ball styluses. So if you look up ball styluses, you can get a pack of those. And you know, here's a special tool made by Bees Putty. Right here, I like this one a lot. So all kinds of different tools. Just start with something, whatever you can get your hands on, and work your way from there. So I will say though, having a X-Acto knife with a nice sharp blade, or a pack of blades that you can switch out, it's important. This is something we won't need today, but for the project we'll need some sort of piece of wood. These are called unfinished wooden plaques, which you can find just by searching that. It doesn't have to be something pretty like this. It can be just a piece of lumber, construction lumber, any sort of piece of wood. It could be a really ugly one like this. It doesn't matter, as long as you can drill into it or secure your work to it. This is just like a foundation, and this can go in the oven. So this can go in the oven just fine. The temperature's too low to burn the wood, so you're good to go. So can you mix Sculpey and Cosclay? You can put them on the same project together side by side just fine. You can also mix them together, but all you're doing is you're just making the Cosclay less flexible. So I would say if you got a bunch of Sculpey and you're trying to get rid of it, to switch to Cosclay, then use the Sculpey for like the bulking out, the like thicker, bigger areas, and then use the Cosclay for everything else, like the details and all that stuff. So, but you can mix them, but yeah, all you do is you just make it less good. I put Cosclay over the top of baked Sculpey once, and it cracked a lot. Okay, here's the thing to know about the clay. So when you sculpt with this material here, when you just put it on the wire by itself, you know, it's just clay on wire with no baked clay underneath, it'll stay good like that for like pretty much like many months. It'll be fine. You could come back and sculpt it. But as soon as you add fresh clay onto baked clay like this, like another layer, this has only got about 2 weeks, a week and a half to 2 weeks before this layer will start to dry out and crack. It's just a reaction that happens. So you have to make sure when you're doing your layering, you're either getting it finished in that 2 weeks time frame, or you're just doing less of the material. Now, I run into this problem too, where, you know, I try to get things done, but things get tossed to the wayside. So it's fine if it happens. There's ways to remedy and fix. But yeah, that's worth noting. Okay, so we got the wooden base, we got the clay, we got the tools. Now wire, armature wire. This is what we build from. This is our structure, our skeleton. So every let me actually grab one. Every character that you make, unless it's like a blob just or a flat thing sitting on a piece of wood, if it has arms or anything that's, you know, up in the air in any way, you want to have a structure. This just makes it easier to work on. This holds things together while you're working, just like a skeleton. So look at creatures in nature that don't have skeletons. What's this one? You know, like slugs and, you know, jellyfish and stuff like that. That's about all you can make without a skeleton. Everything else needs bones, right? This is just what a basic structure skeleton looks like. So two arms, 2 legs, you know. Well, tin foil is what we use to bulk out the bigger areas. So you'll need foil. Now the wire I use, this right here it's a little bit on the thicker side, but this is 14 gauge galvanized steel. So you can go to like your local just hardware store, and they should have a section with wire, and just get some all-purpose galvanized steel. I like using this. It is a little bit hard to work with because it's hard to bend, but that's a good thing when we get into the actual, you know, when we're actually sculpting on this, it's nice and sturdy. But if you have a problem with grip strength or your hands and you just really are not liking that type of wire, you can get aluminum wire. I'm just not a fan of it, but you can see it's like really easy to bend. And you can use this though. There's plenty of other artists that they love using the aluminum. And I get the reasons why, but I prefer this more sturdy structure. So those are your 2 kind of main options. Also, aluminum will be more expensive. So this thing of galvanized wire is like, I don't know, like $7. I think I paid $7 for it. Of course, a couple years ago it was like $5, but you know, that's how the prices go. So. Okay. What else? Oh, steel stick. So this is a material, if you can get your hands on it, it's gonna be a blessing for you. If you can't, then you're gonna have to figure out different I'll tell you different ways to deal with situations that this solves. But essentially this is a 2-part epoxy clay that just cures really quickly. So you cut off a slice of it, you mix it, and then you can kind of stick it to things and it'll harden and create structure for you. That's kind of how we use it. But like I said, there's always ways to sculpt without this. But if you can get it, get it. Or some sort of 2-part epoxy that cures quickly. That's it. Let's see. Did we cover pretty much everything as far as the materials go? Yeah, if anybody, all subs, donations, and all that stuff, I will address, but after we get through. Although I don't want to get kind of, you know, caught up. We only have a limited amount of time here to do the class, so I'll thank you all at the end. So, thank you very much. Oh, this is probably another thing too. So another thing that I use a lot that's nice to have is grab a piece of it. Yeah, you can use what I said, use petroleum jelly. Makitio. Petroleum jelly will act as a glue to polymer clay. Yep. It's not gonna be as good, but it's gonna do the trick. So, and you know, this is something worth discussing. I've lived this out completely in my life, and it's do the best with what you have, you know. So no matter how much or how little, just do the best with what you have. You can make it work. So I know I started this journey of mine with literally nothing, no money, no equipment, no nothing, and you just, you know, over time we build up from there. So this right here, so if you can get some of this too, this is just a small gauge, just a real thin wire, not so thin that it's like string, but like, you know, like it still holds its shape. I think I got some of just like a typical kind of like gardening wire or something. This comes in handy. So you have your normal structure wire, and then you have this, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you'll need. You'll see what we'll use this for, kind of like tying things together and stuff like that. But anyways, okay, I think that's good for materials. If there's any other materials that I missed, we'll address later throughout the class, but that's enough to kind of get things rolling. Oh, I guess it's worth mentioning, if you have a drill or can get a drill, this is a very valuable tool to have that will make, especially this when we build the frame and we're attaching it to the wood. This is going to be nice. There are ways, because I didn't have a drill as well when I first started, there are ways to get the job done without a drill. But if you can get a drill, and you'll need a drill bit set, or just a drill bit that's the thickness of the wire that's twisted. So when the wire's twisted up, you know, it needs to be about the same thickness. So this is the easiest way to kind of secure a piece of work to a piece of wood, is you just drill a hole that's the size of the wire, and you just insert the wire. So you don't have you're probably not going to need it today. The only thing we're going to need today is this, and I guess we'll just go right into the lesson here. So this is all we need today for the structure, because so for the longest time I used to build my character's body first and then the head, and I've fairly recently come to the conclusion that it's actually easier to start with the head. So that's what we're going to start with today. So get now the way we get the wire like this is I actually twist it in the drill. So you take a piece of wire, bend it in half, put the one end of the wire in the drill, and then the other end hold with the pliers, tighten this down, and then turn it on and it'll twist it up. So just be careful, don't hurt yourself. If you don't have a drill, you can twist up the wire by hand. So just same thing, you take a piece of wire, bend it in half, and twist it. And yes, we want it to be twisted because the clay, it gives the clay more to grab onto than if it's just a single piece of wire. It's going to slip all over that. So you could do a single piece of wire and then take a smaller gauge wire and wrap it around, but I definitely prefer this. So okay, so now let's get into the next important thing, which is our reference. So in order to know what something really looks like and to really improve our understanding of what things look like, you have to use reference. So you have to look at photos, could be real life objects. I use photos mostly, and the photos will tell you the positioning of things, the shape of things, the texture of things. So let's go over here. Like I said, I have this reference board available. You guys can go check it out there. It'll continue to grow as the project develops, and this is how I do it. Even if you're designing a character like we are, there's always reference you can find. It's like having like when somebody writes a thesis in college, they have to have references to back up their claims or their work. It's kind of the same idea. So let's go over to this here, and I'll show you the reference I've gathered for our character. So this is the starting reference. So this is our inspiration reference. This is usually how I start. I'll have a character in mind of what I want to do. I'll find other renditions or ideas that kind of inspire decisions for that type of character. So you can see these are all kind of the same type of character rendered in completely different ways, and this just gives us a good footing, you know. And okay, so then going on from there, now I'm like, okay, we need to know what's the first step. Well, we're gonna make the character's face or the head. So I looked up a bunch of real life references of individuals that I thought had a face we could use for a character. Now you don't have to use these just one face. You can use like the eye wrinkles from this guy, the expression from that guy. You know, like there's the shape from another, maybe the nose from this guy right here, you know. So that's how we use reference to kind of piece together our work. So anyways, that's enough about reference. I can't stress enough how important it is to work from reference, to look at it, like really see what's going on and try to replicate it. And this process, you're not going to be good at it initially, you know, but over time you're going to sharpen your ability to be able to see something and make it exactly how it is. So just keep embracing that struggle. Okay, so I got my pliers right here. So I'm going to use this stem here. We're going to bend it and we're going to make the structure for our head. Oh, that's a good, actually, here. So these are called hemostats. These are very cheap to buy too. And if you can get these, they're going to be amazingly helpful. If you don't get these, there's other ways you can do things, of course. So this is pretty much what the hemostat does. It holds an object, you know, with a very little, you know, holding onto the little piece of wire while you're working is not very comfortable. And this will also hold it up when we bake it in the oven and stuff like that. So if you don't get these, you need to make this wire longer and then kind of create a base or a loop or handle at the bottom. So that way you got plenty to hold on to. So this long actually would be good. And then when you put it in the oven or you need to set it down, you can use some foil and you know, just make a little stand for it for you to be able to set it down, you know. But make sure you get that established before you get into the work, because you're gonna need a place to set it down. Sometimes in a pinch I'll just kind of stick it in the clay like that, you know. So it's worth noting too, you'll have to condition your clay when you get it out of the box. It won't be squishy and nice like this when you first get it out of the box. It's going to be crumbly and kind of hard. So what you have to do is you have to squish it around and get it moving, and then it becomes nice like this, which you can either do by hand, which is a pain in the butt, or where is it? You can get a pasta machine. I know a lot of things you can get, but trust me when I say you can live without all these things. I did at one point. So this pasta machine will help you just flatten out the clay, and then you fold it again and roll it through. How do you store the clay you don't use? I don't personally do anything to it. Maybe just put it in a plastic bin. Some people say you should store it in a cool place, like a fridge or something like that. Corin keeps his in a Ziploc bag. I use my clay, I think, fast enough that I never have to worry about there being issues. But I swear I have bricks of clay from the beta, which is like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, that still work, and they've just been sitting in the closet the whole time. So in a plastic tote. So a plastic bag in a plastic tote. So it should be okay. But yeah, so this is not just a tool for making the clay soft. It's also for getting nice, evenly spaced sheets. So say I wanted to create like a belt or something, I can roll out the clay at the thickness I want here. It's going to be consistent all the way through, and then cut the belt and then use that to attach in an additive way. So there's a lot of good purposes for that tool. But again, not needed. Not needed. How many inches tall? Let's see. This is about what, maybe 6 inches. It can be longer. It's best to make it a little bit longer, and you can always cut it, you know, you can always cut it shorter. So just maybe do 6 inches. This is just gonna be the neck. This is just gonna be the head, essentially. Kind of like, actually I don't have any heads right now. All my heads have bodies. Yeah. Never mind. Okay, let's begin. So first step is we are going to take pliers, and we're going to create a loop at the top of our armature. Not too big, but not too small. This is gonna create just more surface area for the clay to grab onto. Now if you don't have steel stick, you're gonna just have to start with, you're just gonna have to start right away with the Polymerclay, but just make sure it's really squished on there, and make sure it's not getting loose off of the frame. That's the kind of the concern there. But we are going to use some steel stick. So put on a glove. So if you don't have steel stick, just wait until the adding of the clay. I would say even if you don't have steel stick, make the loop a little bit bigger, just a bit bigger. Like, you know, I'll demonstrate. Like, maybe like this. Like that. Actually, the fact that these wires untwisted like that is a good thing, because it's just more surface area for the clay to really grab onto. But we are going to use some steel stick here. Just take this out. Now, the end of a steel stick is always like all crusty and dry, so I just usually slice that off. That just goes in the garbage. And we're just gonna slice about this much, not very much. There we go. Put that back in there. Yes, it smells like fresh spring air and flowers and honey. Wear a glove for at least for the mixing hand, you know, because you'll see it creates like a sticky, sooty stuff you just don't want to have on your hands. How to use the drill to make that? You know what? I'll demonstrate that. That's a good idea. I should have demonstrated. We'll twist up some wire. We'll do that while this cures, because it takes 5 minutes to cure. So the onions taste good. The onions taste good. Okay, ready? So we got it nice and consistent in color, nice and mixed up, and we're just gonna push it on there. This is gonna create kind of like a skull, and we're just creating a lot of surface area. More surface area for the clay to grab onto. Just kind of a little bit of a skull shape. Doesn't have to be too crazy. This is all going to be covered with clay. And then take a tool, and I don't always do this, but every time I do, I'm always thankful for it. We're just going to take a sharper tool, and we're just going to add like a texture. Because if you think about it, this is just creating more and more surface area for that clay to really grab on. The reason I stress that so much is it's really annoying to sculpt something that's not, when the clay's kind of trying to remove itself from the frame while you're working on it. It can be very annoying. So let's just add some texture here. There we go. Now that clay's really gonna scoring it up. That's right. Clean the tool. We don't want any dried. See, this would be on my hands if I didn't wear this as the mixing glove. So let's take this off. And see, at this point, I can use my hemostats here. If you don't have one, just stick it into a ball of clay, set it down, and I will demonstrate the wire twisting with the drill. Okay, twist up a piece. So let's see here. Don't poke your eye. Always be careful of the eyes. We'll just do a piece this big here. Put a cut. I'm not going to show you the advanced foot drill technique where you activate the drill with your foot. Although when you guys get into the intermediate level classes, we will practice foot drilling. So I'm doing a shorter piece that I can, you know, has to be at least as short as the width of your arm, or the wingspan of your arms. So the loop end, we're gonna squish this so it can actually go in the drill. There we go. And then you're just gonna put it in the drill like it's a drill bit, just like this. And be careful of the loose end. Make sure there's nobody over there. Okay. And then this end here. My cat likes the smell of steel stick. Alright. So we grab this and we're going to twist it around like once. Once is good. Just so it doesn't slip out of your grip here, okay? And I'm going to mute the mic and I'm just going to turn on the drill, okay? And if you notice, it actually gets nice and straight. So there you go. And then you just cut off. You can cut off the excess, the parts that went into the drill, or the part you held with the pliers. That's right. Gotta protect you guys' ears. There you go. That is what we build pretty much everything with. This is some building stock right here. Build whole universes with this. All thanks to Obi-Wan Ryobi, that's right. If you don't have a drill, I would recommend getting a drill. They're not expensive, especially if you get a corded drill. You could probably find one at a thrift store, like an old used up drill that still works. Those corded drills last forever. So I have a corded one on my desk, and I also have cordless ones. Cordless ones that I use around the house, but a good tool to have. Okay, so now let's check our guy here. See, this is already hardened. You'll feel it get hot. It's a chemical reaction, so it gets hot. The faster the reaction, the hotter it gets. So old tools are made to last, yeah. That's true. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our glue, and if you don't have the glue, you add your Vaseline, and you want to paint it on, even the glue or the Vaseline, you want it to be painted on thin. You don't want it to be thick. That'll cause it to slide around. Even if you have Harbor Freight has them for like 20 bucks. Yeah. It's a good tool. Once you have one, you'll find it to be handy. How did I put it inside the drill? Just like you put a drill bit inside there, you tighten it up around the wire, just like a drill bit. No. Okay, so now we're gonna add the first layer of clay. Now this first bit of clay we add, we're not trying to shape it and make it look pretty. What we're trying to do is make sure it's attached. This is kind of like a foundation layer. So just kind of flatten out a piece like this and just drape it over and start squishing it down. Don't want any air, you don't want any air pockets in there. I'll just get in the way. Pinch off the excess here. And here is our kind of like our basic. So you're really feeling around, you're pushing, feeling, making sure it's on there. So it takes a second for the glue to kind of do its job. So it will feel a little bit slippy and slidey at the beginning. That's okay. Just keep trying to push it. Don't push it and slide it. Just kind of push it down, you know. So unforeseen item, I forgot, garbage can. Just use your floor. That's what I do. And then after you're done with your sculpting session, you just have to pick it all up. So just bop it. You know. So I just kind of took the little extra and just wrapped it around the wire down there. And now we are sculpting the head, but we don't need to worry about the whole head shape, because the only thing we're focusing on is the face of the head. Just the face. This is what we're gonna get done today. And then next week we'll go into the rest of the head, the ears, the eyebrows and beard and the eyeballs and all that fun stuff. So we're not trying to do it all in one stage. The more you break it down into stages, the easier life becomes for you. So okay. Can you skip it if you don't have it? I mean, you can try. My only worry is that it's gonna not really attach to the frame, and while you're working on it, it's gonna get wobbly and weird. But you can still try. Sure, might as well learn where those limits are now. You know, you can always go back and do it again. You know, with the proper materials. So. I mean, there's transferable skills, but you don't need to have any sort of skill to start. This is where we start building skill. Okay, so now we need to decide, we need to start building up our character's head based on what kind of size we want to go for. Now, if we look at our reference, I notice a similarity amongst all these characters that I picked out that we really like. And the similarity is that they all have really big heads. So that gives the illusion that the creature is small if it's got a bigger head and a smaller body, that it's a tiny little kind of gremlin type character. But if you look at these, all these proportionally, the heads are way bigger than like a human, for example. So we want to make a big head, and we want to keep in mind, you know, we want to create about a 6-inch tall character, right? So, you know, let's say that's about the size of our character, or the height. And you look at the image and you look at the height and you say, okay, well, the area it needs to take up actually is probably about like this big to be in those proportions that we want. So let's just start adding clay and get the size. Once we have it at the size that we want, then we'll start roughing in like features and stuff. So I'm just gonna start adding clay here. Start building up our size. Stay very loose at this stage. Don't worry about smoothing in every piece of clay you add. Just get it on there so we can see the volume. No, you don't need to worry about it cooling down. As long as it's not sculptable still, that's fine. In fact, your clay will stick to it even better if it's a little bit warm. So I'm still maintaining this idea of the chin. See this? Still want to have an idea on where the chin's gonna be. The shape of a head is technically it's like an egg with a cylinder on the front. So let's fill out the back of the head here. How thin should the layer be? I'm just adding it on really thick because we're just trying to add volume. We're trying to just get it to the size that we want. Size and shape is all we're worried about right now. See, well, it doesn't really matter because it's okay if you're not exactly the same as me. That's why I chose this type of character, because the proportions aren't as important that we nail them. So, but I'll measure it. I'll measure it for you guys. But just don't stress too much about being exactly the same size as what I'm doing. What we want is we just want the head to be proportionally too big. That's what we want. If it ends up too small, it could create an interesting looking gremlin too, you know. This is why we're not starting with like a portrait of a real person, you know. Okay. Now we look. Okay, this is important during these early stages to really slow down, stop, look, decide. Is that big enough? If their character's standing this tall, let's imagine his body and his arms and his legs. I think it's close, but I actually still think I want it to be a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. So I'm just gonna add another kind of pad of clay all the way around. Like this. So now in hindsight, I probably could have done a little more of like a base layer. Could have even done some foil, but that's okay. Hindsight's always 20/20. Gonna add this on the top of the head. I think that's definitely more in the range we want to be. When you add little pads of clay like that, you just blend in the edges, you know, just by pushing with your thumb. Your fingers might have to get attuned to the abuse, but they will. Just keep your hands moving. All right, now I'm gonna add just another one on the back of the head here. It would be steel stick first and then foil on top of the steel stick. And I would actually add the foil, in hindsight, I would add the foil as the steel stick is hardening before it's hardened. So that way it sticks it all together, you know, acts as like a glue. These are the things you know, you're gonna have a lot of hindsight moments where you're like, I should have done it. I should have done this a little bit differently. That's just really pay attention to those moments, because that's how you grow and improve for next time, you know. All right, that's good. That's a good base to our head. So I'm happy with the shape. I'm happy with the volume. Now, let me pull up a reference here to really demonstrate the shape of the head real quick. pull it up really quick here. I'm trying to find this one that really breaks it down into. So I can't browse with the screen up, unfortunately. So I mean, this one's okay. This one's pretty. These ones are pretty good. This type of stuff is what well, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I can address you for just a second. I'm sorry, but today we are doing a class. I'm teaching how to sculpt, but that's a huge raid, so I gotta say something. So welcome on in, join us. I really appreciate it. But back to the class. So these classes will be saved and you can follow along, but we're creating a character start to finish together every Sunday. So thank you very much, Asylum. I appreciate that. Okay, so this type of reference is really good. Illustration reference works for sculpting. It's worth noting, because when you look at something like this, you can digest. It's like reading someone's notes. The artist that did these, they understand the shape of a head, and they've created these notes to look at. So we can really see the shape of this kind of like a ball shape with a cylinder on the front. See that? Or an egg shape that has flat sides and a cylinder on the front. That's kind of the shape we're trying to go for. So, but again, we're not doing a photorealistic kind of character. We're doing a stylized character, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So one way we can make this easier on ourselves is we have the ball here, right? The ball of the head right here. And this part is the cylinder part on the front face where the chin is. So you pinch the chin out where it's at right here. Just like that. And then you just roll it on the table like this. That gives us a nice kind of starting point. See that? Just make sure it just gives us it lets us know that that's all on the same plane now. See that? Okay. Now let's draw some guidelines before we get into the features here. So let's eyeballing a halfway point is something you're going to want to do, or you're going to want to practice. So halfway between the top of the head and the chin, we're just going to mark a line. That's typically where the eyes of a human character or humanoid character lie. It's right in the middle there. Just like that. And then halfway in the middle, we're going to draw a vertical line. This is kind of like our mirror line of the face. There we go. Now I drew this line at least to the side of the head, because this is also where the top of the ear usually is. We could also do from the front to the back of the head that there's a line here too. Yeah. From the front to the back of the head, line right there. Yeah, let's make that actually even. Even on both sides. Oh, it is. Okay, we're good. So there we go. That's it. That's kind of a good foundation to help us plan things out. So, all right. So first thing we want to establish. I'm thinking of like a skull. I actually think of skulls when I do this step. So think of a skull. We're gonna establish the eyes. I'm gonna make an indentation here. Now notice this space between the center line and where the corner of the eye is. It's important. We'll need that in a second here. I'm just gonna open this up. I'm gonna lift it up here a little bit. And you can already see that kind of skull eye hole there. Now, again, noticing the distance between the corner of the eye and the middle line, I'm gonna try and see where that needs to start there. You want that distance to be the same. That's where the lines really help, see? And now, since we can't use the same tool motion, we have to go either like this, or we can turn it upside down, or you could turn it to the side. So, turn it to the side, and we're just gonna go in right there. Okay. This is just a wooden shaping tool. Nothing special, just a piece of wood. You can get assorted packs of them with all different types of ends, and tools are gonna be, you're gonna find yourself leaning towards certain tools naturally. Just really just kind of hone into that and really stick to those tools. The more you use a tool, the more you get familiar with it. So now this doesn't have to be pretty or anything. We're just putting it all there. Now, let's see here. If we I'm gonna take the edge of this tool here, and from the corner of the eye, if we look at the side, it should be going down at an angle like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna push and roll it down like that. See that? And we're gonna do that on the other side too. You'll see the same kind of angled pattern throughout the face. Like the top eyelid to the bottom eyelid has the same angle. The top lip to the bottom lip has the same angle. The nose to the chin, same angle, typically. Alright, so let's see here. Just kind of smoothing those lines out a little bit more. Alright. So we want a really big nose on this character, so let's start getting that in place. We now have Bane. Class is over. Okay. Now we're gonna be over exaggerating the nose, right? Way bigger than what a real human nose will look like. So let's just from right where the eyes meet there, and we're just gonna kind of push it. It's like a teardrop sized piece of clay. I'm gonna squish it into position here. And we can add more or we can subtract, you know, that we just want to get it in place. We don't want to do details, we want to stay very loose. Now, we can look at from where the nose is to where the chin is, and there's really not a lot of room there for the mouth. So, it tells me we need to really add some material for the chin. So, take a pad of material, extend our chin down. Now our character will have a mustache and a beard, so we're not going to worry about too much of the lower head details like the chin and all that stuff, but we do want the volume to be there. Bring our chin forward a little bit. Alright, and now let's do the cheeks or the cheekbones. And again, we're looking at our references of the real life people. The only thing I've strayed away is I've exaggerated the nose, and the head shape is, you know, kind of goofy, but just have fun with it. So I'm gonna take a piece of clay like this, and I'm gonna go right here in the corner of the eye and wrap it around the eye. This will become like our cheekbone. Could become the cheekbone or even the cheeks. And we're just gonna do that on the other side here. We're getting to the point where we need to make a decision on how we want to have our character, how we want to have the character's expression. There we go. You're gonna have a hard time with symmetry, definitely, like doing the same size piece on both sides. That's okay. Just keep trying. Embrace the struggle. It does get easier. It takes practice. Alright, now I will add a little bit of material on the eyebrow and forehead region. So like this. Like so. Notice I'm just adding these chunks of clay. We're not blending them in. Don't want to blend it in yet. Now I'm going to extend the jawline out just a little bit too. From the chin right to that where that line is. That's where the jawline goes up. There we go. I'm gonna make things look really fast and easy, but it's not gonna be the case for you guys. Don't be worried. Take your time. Alright, so we got a nice jawline. You can start to see the shape of our character's head. And this is when we really can look at it and say, okay, I did use the glue to attach the clay initially to the frame. But whenever you're attaching fresh clay to fresh clay, you don't need the glue. It sticks to itself just fine. You only need the glue when you're attaching it to like already baked clay or wood or wire. So, yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna add, well, okay, now we gotta decide, well, now we gotta make a decision, and there's no wrong decision here on what kind of expression we wanna do. I'm thinking about a smile. I think it's just a nice, gentle smile would be good with the mouth closed. We could do mouth open, but that's a little bit more complex because now you have to sculpt the teeth and stuff. But yes, let's do just a nice, gentle smile. So I'm gonna pick a reference. This is the one we're gonna use to kind of guide us along the way here. This fella right there. I'm probably gonna change the eye direction and stuff, but this will help us kind of make our decisions here. So, all right. So let's blend in these cheek masses here. So you just take the tool and you just kind of have this kind of motion where you're pulling the clay and filling it in to those valleys. I'm gonna pull up here with the jaw material, just getting it to come together. Kind of getting rid of the seam lines, if you will. Now you don't want to do this until you're happy with the shapes that are there. You know, if the shapes don't look good to you before you blend it in, they're not going to look good to you after you blend it in. If that makes sense. So you might as well save yourself the time. Make sure the shapes are what you want first, and then blend them in. You'll be tempted to waste a lot of time in sculpting. You have to be careful. Okay, I couldn't help that, but I just did a little nostril mark there. That just happens automatically for me. So, but we don't want to do that just yet. Now we're just blending in the edges. Go. I'll blend it in. That's you blending all the time? That's how it was for me a lot too. You sit there and you blend in a piece for like ever, and then you realize, oh, I need to add more. And then you add more, and then you continue the blending. And trust me when I say, when you guys have a complication or thing you're struggling with, that I went through the exact same thing, I promise. And I would argue every person that becomes proficient with the talent goes through it at some point too. So. There we go. Okay, so we got our kind of our blended in rough shaped head here. Let's see. So I'm looking at the reference, and his upper lip is actually pretty close to the nose, probably like right here. So I'm going to draw just a little line. It kind of goes like this and curves up just a little bit. Now there's two things making this face look gentle. It's the little smile, but also notice the angle of the eyebrows going like this instead of like this. See that? So you might, if your guy's not reading as like a gentle, kind look, just angle your eyebrows up. All right. Now let's see here. Now we're gonna start with our smaller shapes now. So now we're gonna kind of fill in the gap from this cheekbone down. I'm gonna roll a nice little snake of clay here. It's gonna go down to the corner of the mouth, and then it's gonna cut in after the corner of the mouth like that. Push it down. Now we're gonna keep this line here on the inside. That's gonna become that kind of that crease, but we're gonna blend in the other side. Just like this. And this line should actually go to right where the back of the nostril is. Right into that nostril line. We're just gonna push our nostrils in. Like this. So we're doing this method where we add the mass of the clay and we try to kind of squish it around till it looks the shape we want it. Don't worry about being slow. I'm still working on the basic head shape. Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and watch this video over and over again. It's the same way when I would learn from videos. I'd have to pause. I'd have to do this. The instructor would show it, the step. Then I'd do the step, pause the video, then play once I got done with that step. You know, because we're trying to get a lot done here in this 2-hour section. So have to move quick. But you guys get a whole week to play catch up before the next lesson. Okay, same thing. Just gonna blend in this other side here. Okay. Gonna shape the nose a little bit. Gonna make the nostril more of like a separate shape there, away from the front of the nose. Noses are such an interesting shape. Pretty much every section of the face, it's got its own little quirks to learn about. Little interesting things. Okay. Need a little bit more clay here to connect this cheek area to the nose. I'm just gonna fill that in a little bit. Piece of clay there. Put it in place and then we blend it in. And the reference I'm using, he's got little chunky cheeks, almost like a ball, right here. About there. It's pretty rounded, nice and smooth and rounded there. So let's do that on the other side. Will it have a beard, long, short? Maybe it was explained at the beginning. It will have a beard, yeah. We don't have to, see, here's the thing. This is the way I work when I design. We don't have to make that decision now. The only decision we had to make was, will it have a beard? And the answer is yes for that. I don't know what the beard will look like. I don't need to know, so we're not making it yet. Right now our focus is on the task in front of us, which is the face. We don't need to know if he'll have a hat or what kind of beard or anything like that. The only reason we need to know is if he will have a beard. We need to know that because if he doesn't have a beard, we have to sculpt the chin and the jaw more. You know, we have to make it more detailed. But since we know he won't, or that he will have a beard, we don't need to do the details there. See, I just made that cheek. I added it. It was a little bit too small, so I just added a little piece more. Now, when I was kind of up and coming, I would always, when I would add clay, I'd add a little bit too much. And I caught on to that and started always adding a little bit less than I think I need, because for some reason, that part of me that would gauge how much I needed would always grab too much clay. Okay. Yes, the VODs will be available. The videos will be up, so you can infinitely go and check and watch and rewatch. This will be a always available thing. Yeah, sure. Okay, so now let's see here. Now I like how the guy here, his bottom lip is a little bit more above his top lip. So I'm gonna extend the bottom lip with a pad of clay here. Just gonna kind of go like this. Kind of, maybe he's missing some upper teeth there. These little things you pick up on the reference that you know, it's all preference, you know. It's all preference with the reference. Just pick out little aspects of different things you like and add them exactly how they are, you know. It's this combination of preference is what creates your unique design. Extend the chin out a little bit. Gonna fill in these valleys under the cheeks just a little bit more. Big O underbite. That's right. Okay, so now let's blend in these pieces here. Blending this in. Once you start getting into the smaller shapes, you don't necessarily have to always add clay. You can just work with what's there and push it around. Blend in these cheeks. Notice how I'm very much ignoring the eyes. That's something I learned a long time ago, is that the longer you can ignore doing the eyes, the more you'll stay in this loose shape mode, you know. And eyes really are an area of detail and should be ignored. I've been smashing and rolling my clay for about an hour, not softening. Yeah, what kind of clay are you using? And it could be that you need to add clay softener to it. You can buy clay softener, or you could even just use some oil, mineral oil, or I've even used vegetable oil in the past. But mineral oil is probably be better. And it'll get softer. And if you have clay that's too soft, you can firmen it up by rolling it flat, sticking it between two pieces of printer paper, and you have to leave it there for a little while, but it'll absorb some of that material that's making it soft and make your clay a little bit more firm. develop too much clay gluten. This is not bread. I always run into the problem that when I'm trying to smooth our one area or add clay, I'm shifting other areas around. That's fine. That's all right. You just shift it back once you're done doing the blending. There's a lot of back and forth with the Polymerclay. And you can use the shifting to your advantage. Like I can shift this whole face around, you know. Say I want his jaw more up, I can go more up. Say I want it more down, I can go more down. See? But when we build it up in these layers like this, it actually reacts just like a real face would. So okay. Now when I hold it down like this, I notice that this eyebrow is more out here. See this compared to here? Harder to see from the front, but when you look at it from up or from down, you can see that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that now. Angle the eyebrows downward to make them angry, that's right. Yeah, we're not going for angry, but you certainly can on your piece. Just make sure you use the reference of an angry face to help guide you along. All right, this is starting to look like a character, that's for sure. I got one of those noses on him that's got a really big bridge. See the point where the bridge and the nose drop off? This point, actually imagine, you know the skull, how it's got that bone? The way the nose bone looks where the skull, that's the nose bone right there. And it's just like the rest of the nose is just hanging from that point, which creates that look. So I think I'm gonna make that even more pronounced. We're gonna exaggerate that a little bit there. That Liam Neeson nose. I'm also going to add a little bit more meat up top here, about there. Almost like it just goes right into the forehead. Boxer nose. Oh. Okay, I also think, let's see here. Let's go back down to the lips. This is the thing about the face, is you can really drift from one side of the face to the other. I'm trying to bring it all up to the same kind of level at the same time. We're slowly going from rough shapes and transitioning into details, so. Just kind of blending with my fingers really lightly here to get the get rid of some of these tool marks. Kind of bring these shapes together a little more. Okay. I'm noticing, see how this one is further out than this one? We need to decide, do we like this one or do we like this one? I think we'll just make this one match this one. So we'll just add a little bit. Oh, actually, we'll squish this down a little bit like this. And then we'll add a little bit here. Get rid of that valley. Okay, I'm starting to feel myself wanting to drift into actually adding in the eyes. Okay, we're definitely getting closer. I'm gonna add a little indent here at the bottom of the lip there. It kind of goes around the chin. Then I'm going to flatten the bottom lip now with this tool here. Just gonna bring that bottom lip out. I'm not worried about the upper lip details and stuff because there's going to be a mustache in there. So don't worry about that. Clean those up a bit. This nostril line goes a little deeper on the other side. I'm going to try and mimic it here. This is a little more filled in than the other side, so let's copy that as well. So you're just being very nitpicky with your symmetry, you're resisting as much as you can getting into details. That's what we're doing. So by the time we actually allow ourselves to do the details, we should have a pretty nice foundation built up. It could become an old witch, yeah. For sure. Okay. I'm gonna add, this chunk is looking really nice here, but it looks like it's missing right there. See that? Kind of like the edge of the eyebrow. So let's add that in. Okay. Now I think we're ready to actually add the eyes. Now, I've come up with this new technique to doing eyes really as easy as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to add material into the eye cavities and make it look like the eyes are closed first, okay? Now this is important to get the shape of this right. So let's just add material. in there. Then we want to blend it in. It should go up flush with the eyebrow here. So you're just pulling it straight to the eyebrow. But then in the bottom side, it comes to this line right here. See that? The crease at the bottom of the eye. But no crease at the top. See that? Now, let's go on the other one. And we want to make sure the eyes aren't coming out. See how we have this downward angle? See that? Where the top of the eye is further out than the bottom of the eye. Just like the angle of the cheek to the jaw. Technically, the lip to the bottom lip would be that way too, but we stylized it in a way that it's not, so. Okay. Let's see. That's too much. Let's take some away. That's true. Yeah, exactly. You guys might have to make a few heads till you decide which one's going to be your actual character's head. Trust me when I say if you make one head, finish it, and then start another one, I guarantee you that second one will look a million times better. It's because you will apply everything that you learned on the first one. Yeah, so don't hesitate to redo steps a few times and get some practice in. Okay, same idea, just kind of blended it up into the eyebrow and then straight down to get that crease under the eye. Shouldn't get ahead of yourself. No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Okay. So I find it easier if we open the eyes first to sculpt the other kind of smaller shapes that the eyes have. So let's do that. Let's open up his eyes. So once the shape looks good on both sides, I'm gonna take this tool, which is just a nice kind of sharp edge. Sharp, but not like cut yourself sharp. And we're gonna go right where the corner of the eye is. It should be about here. We're going to draw a line to about there. Now let's do that on the other side. I'm going to do it upside down here. About the same size, same position and same size as best you can. Okay. And now alright, so now we go in and we're gonna open the eye. We're gonna stick this tool in there and we're just gonna lift it up, gently wiggle and pull that clay out. And we'll do a little bit down here, just a little bit. On my reference, the bottom eyelid is fairly straight, and most of the curve comes from the upper eyelid. Now the upper eyelid is over the bottom eyelid, so we're going to create that overlap here. And then that usually turns into the wrinkle that kind of goes like this, right? So let's push this bottom eyelid under the upper eyelid. See that? Now in the inside of the eye here, they kind of meet up at the same level. One's not overlapping the other. But we can make a little space for the tear duct, so let's do that. Little space for the tear duct. We push the corner of the eye in a little bit more. All right, let's do the other eye. We want to try to maintain the same shape as close as we can. Unless we're going for an asymmetrical kind of pose there, but I'm looking at how far out the eyelids are. Don't want the eyelids to be too far out. And pull that bottom one down just slightly, just like before. Create the overlap. And the tear duct. Kind of, it's like a Woodland, Gremlin, Gnomey type character. Yeah. Now, usually this will be the case, but underneath the eye, there's too much of a cavity there, so we're going to fill that in now, like a little clay croissant here. Don't want to add too much. Like that. And we want to be gentle here, not to mess up the shape of our eyelids, so I'm going to kind of carefully put that in place. This eyelid's out a little bit too far this way, so we're going to kind of push that back down a little bit. But I'm pushing down and going up, so that way it doesn't ruin the kind of the silhouette of our eye. I'm telling the material to displace that way instead of down and into the eye, you know? Now we're going to add some material here on the corner of the eye. Right there. There's usually some skin built up right there, you know? Do that on both sides. So you can see we're just getting into smaller and smaller details. We're still not in details and textures yet. We're just adding clay shapes, clay masses. Add a little bit right here on the bridge of the nose, just a little bit more. Fill that in. Now let's look at his nose. We're gonna grab a ball stylus and we're gonna, I'm looking at it and I want to add more to the nostril here, right? Fill it in more. But I still have to make the nose holes, so what we can do is we can push in there and we can pull out that direction. So it's like adding volume without actually adding more clay. So. Alright. We're just kind of pulling it out there. Back to where we want it to be. And now we'll do the other side. Okay. Let's see here. So let's we only got about 15 minutes left. I didn't leave a lot of time for feedback this round. I figured there wouldn't be that much to give, and that we'll have a bigger feedback round next week. But let's leave our piece right there. So we're right before we get really clean up and do the detailing. So that's what we'll do next week. We're gonna go in, we're gonna fine tune the face more, but you can see we already have our character pretty much decided. From here on, it's just these little small shapes, maybe adding a little bit more to the nose, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to do different techniques for the texture, for skin texture and all that stuff. So, yep. I was hoping we can get the whole face done in one session, but it's not a lot of time to work with, so that's okay. The face is important, and we really don't want to rush this part, because I'd say the face is probably the most important part of the sculpting. So yeah, we got about like I said, about 15 more minutes to do some feedback and answer some questions. Let's just do questions in the chat, and then we'll do a more in-depth feedback round next week, where I'll go into Discord. So work on your guys' faces, get it to this stage, and then post photos and or videos of your work, and next week I'll go through those and let you know how things are going. We should probably actually start next week with feedback at the beginning and then do the lesson, or something like that, because that way you can know if you need to make any changes moving forward, or something like that. You can leave it out. Leave what out? The feedback? You have missed much. Oh, do we leave it on the counter exposed? Oh yeah, you can leave it out. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you just leave it out just like this. This will stay sculptable for like many months, just like this. It's when we start layering on top of baked clay, that's when we have to worry about getting it finished. So So yeah, just leave it out on your desk, obviously in a safe spot. It's not going to get smushed. Yeah, and we'll continue it next Sunday. So how can I find that machine for mixing the clay in Amazon? Look up a pasta machine. Yep, that's good. I'm excited for this piece. This is a really good start. So hopefully the lesson was good. I try my best to really articulate everything that's going on in my head as I'm making. What's up, Gingy? Thanks to everybody who subscribed and resubscribed, and the host that we had, a very generous host earlier. So if anyone's new coming in here, this isn't what we normally do. This is kind of a special streaming event with the tutorial. But I do stream all week, and we work on commission work and projects and all kinds of stuff. So let me actually pull that up really quick so I can thank people. That's right. Yeah, thanks to the person. There's a community member who actually is funding this live class for me to come in on Sunday and put in the extra time and work. So a big thank you to you guys and that individual as well for supporting me and allowing stuff like this to happen. Hey, thanks Northern. Let's see here. Let me look at recent events. We have company coming, so that's why usually I'd stay on with you guys for a little while, but we got company that's coming real close. Let's see here. 2 days. Okay, well, okay, right here. I'm caught up. Colleen, thanks for gifting that sub earlier. Appreciate that. And Uncle Richard, good morning. Thank you for the 17 months, my friend. And Northern, thank you for the 300 biddies. Thank you. Yeah, let's see. Super helpful industry. I'm really grateful. Yeah, sure. Now, like I said before, go back. This video will be available on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick as a VOD. Go back and rewatch it, and like I said, really take the time to really make it as good as you can, so that when we go into the next step, it's as good as you can make it. So pause the video when I do steps, try to duplicate it, then hit play again. You know, you guys will do just fine. Yep, you can definitely catch up. Hey, Geek Jen, thank you for the 300 biddies. I appreciate that. An additional thin wire. Right, yeah. Yeah, the thin wire, try and get some of that thin wire if you can. It's not absolutely needed, but it definitely comes in handy for stuff we're probably gonna have to deal with later down the line. Like when we attach the head frame to the body frame. Just it's nice to have a little wire to keep that together while the steel stick dries. So that's right. Layer, layer, layer. It's never one and done. That's right. If you notice, we started with big shape, which is the head shape, and then we started to get into like sub-secondary shapes, which is like the cheeks and the chin and the nose. And then as we keep going, we're getting down into even smaller shapes, like the little meat at the end of the eyes and the meat under the eyes, and a little bit more on the nose and the nostrils, So you're going big shapes, medium shapes, small shapes, to the point where shapes are there, and then we put a layer of texture on top of these shapes that we've built up. So that's the process. So, but our minds want to jump right into doing details and small things right away. So you have to really resist that urge and say, let's stay loose, and then slowly allow yourself to get closer to the goal that we all want to do, which is the details. So 20 gauge is pretty tiny. Yes, I'd say 16 is pretty good. 14 is more on the thicker side, but it's still gonna work. 14, anywhere 14 to 16. That's gonna be good. 20 though, you might be might need to twist it a few times there. 22 to 24 is the small stuff, yeah. Yep. I'm trying to think what. See if it has it on here. That's 34. That's too thin. That 34 is too 32. Okay, yeah, that's too thin. Yeah, I think what Colleen said is good. Yep. You got to go. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna end the lesson here, folks. Thank you all for joining me on this first lesson. The next one will be same time next week, and next time we'll have a little bit more time to do actual feedback. So work on your projects through the week and post your get it to a point where you feel like you've done everything you can do, that or you just don't know what to do next. Post a photo or video, and then that way next week we'll be able to give you some feedback and help push you along. So all right, let's let me find someone to raid and we'll get on out of here. Let's see here. Wow, geez, a lot of people in here. Hey, thanks for joining, everybody. That's a lot. Let's go drop you off somewhere real nice, huh? Could go check out Mr. Miniature's Den, maybe. Yeah, you know what? Let's go raid Mr. Miniature's Den. Very, very talented painter of figures, figure painter. This guy's next level, so let's go raid him. Okay. And I will see you guys on Monday. We'll be working on Alduin the dragon. All right. Till next time, friends. Bye-bye.